Hi, everybody, and welcome to the EndlessCelts Awards show. I hope you're all keeping well. I'm delighted to be joined by Ross and Francis. How are you both?
All good,
All
mate.
good, Stephen. Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm fine. Good to see Paddy McCourt back with his family, sporting that hoops top. Love it,
Fanny
love
my corpse.
Oh, God.
it. And also, evening to Ryan and Jed, who've joined us this early on. We appreciate the support as always.
Evening, guys.
And before we get into the Endless Celts Awards show, which is a fantastic vote by William, and the poll was the interaction and the votes were absolutely fantastic. Some close calls in there, but just want to come to you all individually. Start with yourself, Franny. Have you recovered from the end of season review?
Just about. It's for the people that stuck by it. Fair play to you, because Ross is obviously what will be revealed soon. A wee show, a wee blipper show, but Ross is told that it was an absolute shambles when he watched it back and stuff. So,
No,
fair play if you hung it
it wasn't a shambles. I
Unwatchable.
thought
out.
I thought it was. I just thought it was full of unbelievable laughs. All of us talking
Aye.
Celtic, a successful season. Ross and Alistair comes in here, evening with podcast mates, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Just bringing all us
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, I love that.
Have you recovered from the show? But
Well, I've recovered for the show. Then I've been mortal again, so I'm recovering for the second bout. I had a wee day out in Edinburgh on Saturday. And we were at what was the name of the place? Foreplay Golf or something. It's like crazy golf, but you get like something to eat and a couple of drinks and that as part of the package. But it was a really good day. So I was pretty drunk on Saturday once again. It's not like me, but you only live once.
that's not like it. That's a common theme for you, Ross. You love a wee pint. But here,
I do.
we'll get
I
stuck
do.
right. We'll get stuck right into this Endless Celts Awards show, which was meant to be hosted by William, but unfortunately, some things have come up, and we'll hope he's back in the future. All's well there. But we'll start with the first one, turning point of the season. I'm going to come to each individually. I'm going to read out the options first before I obviously give the kind of results. So
Aye,
we'll have
good
the
because I
Ross
can't
County game.
mind the.
We'll have the Ross County game. Ralston's 97-minute winner. Dundee United, Abada's late winner, and the Rangers, the 3-0 thumping. I'll come to yourself, Randy, before I give the viewers' choice. What would you have picked?
I think the Abada one, just like obviously the Rangers one's massive because you went top and maybe it was like the first time we beat them in 7 games psychologically. It was obviously massive, but the Abada one against Dundee United gave Rangers to drop points either that day or the day before us. I can't remember if he played the Saturday or Sunday that day, but I know they dropped points early, which meant if we win, the league was our league campaign was essentially in our hands after Rangers dropped points, and it was just the manner of the game. It was one of the ones that felt like it was never you were just going to miss the opportunity to win the game that we'd done. I mean, if you bet Rangers in the next game, you would go top of the league, but it was me, Ross, John, and William and William's house and stuff. And just when that cross came over and Abada taking that touch and just rifled in it, like a late goal, it just gives you, like, I think we were actually played decent enough in that game. But sometimes when in the games, even if you play absolutely horrendous, but you score that last minute goal, it just kicks you on for the rest of the season. I think it just gave us that belief. Dug in, we just, that the whole mantra, we never stopped. We just, and then believed we'd get that chance, and Abada taken it brilliantly. And it just, for me, it just gave us belief, gave the team belief that we could go on and win the league that season.
100% on board with that one. What about yourself, Ross? What would you have picked in this vote?
So we've got the Ralston at Ross County, the Dundee United, Abada, and was it the Rangers 3-0 game? Did you say
3-0? Yeah.
3? Again, I'm the same as Franny. I went with Abada against Dundee United. I think, I mean, purely because of the question, turning point. I think the Ralston one, it keeps you in it. I think the Rangers one is, for me, past where the tide turned, if you like. Franny's touched on it. Rangers dropped points in the morning, the early kick-off, and then Celtic played in the afternoon. And you know that a win against Dundee United gives you the opportunity then to beat Rangers at home in the next game and go top of the league. So for me, when Abada scores that's when the tide changes, and it changes in Celtic's favour. The pendulum swings, if you like. And again, I've said it before in other podcasts, at that moment, once that goal goes in, Celtic grabbed the opportunity with both hands and just didn't let it go.
Well, I think you should be surprised to hear. Obviously, this award show's decided by the viewers and the people who watch the show. And again, we greatly appreciate all the interaction already in the comments, people getting involved. The Abada finished with 27% of the vote.
What? He didn't care what we're
31%.
talking about.
31% of the vote went to Ralston's 97-minute winner, and the winner by a long distance was the 3-0 thumping against the Rangers, which pulled in 42% of the vote. And see, to be fair, I mean, Ryan Kelly comes in. I'll come to yourself, Randy, for this. Love the 3-0 game. That was kind of the emergence of Hatate. Abada managed to destroy Borna Barisic with one run and a cracking finish into the net. And it was just wild celebrations that night. And looking at the comments, people do agree. It kind of put them on notice that we're here, we're ready for a challenge, and we're going to take over.
Oh, definitely. Like, I would say I can't argue it, but I've just made what I felt was a valid case for the Dundee United game. But I understand folk saying the Rangers game because, like you said, them put us top, and we were no longer chasing after that. We properly then put the pressure on Rangers. It's time for you to chase us, and obviously we needed to keep winning to do that bit, which we obviously done. And I just like his first half displays. Like, I still think the Hibs first half display was probably better, but in recent times against Rangers, I've not seen a better first half display anyway. And I wouldn't say we felt sorry for them in the second half, but I really do think Ange maybe just said play with fire. I think the way that first half went, I thought it could have been any score. Obviously, you maybe got to credit Van Bronckhorst a wee bit. He probably the wee changes helped it and stuff, but it was I think mentally for the players and Ange and stuff. Mentally and stuff, it probably was massive for the team and that, and also it gave us that, along with the Barisic moment, and obviously the 2 goals for Hatate. It gave us a moment for Callum McGregor where he's shouting at Barisic as well. He absolutely had a nightmare that game, when you actually think about it. When you actually think about things.
I think Danny Boy comes in here, Ross, and ties in what you and Franny said. Does anyone think we would have failed if we failed against United? Would we have beat Sevco at Paradise? And the viewers went with the Rangers game, but thinking at that as well, to kind of build that momentum, you need them kind of results against the likes of Dundee United. Abada comes up trumps, he scores in the game to beat them 3-0, so it all kind of ties in a roundabout way.
Aye, that's a valid point. I think me and Franny sort of made our case, and Donny's backed it up to an extent. I mean, there's no right and wrong answer. Do you know what I mean? It's all about opinions. It's all about how you felt at that moment. But I agree with Donny. I think if we drop points if we drop points against Dundee United, which for all the world it looked like we were going to, and I think for me, I know how I felt when Abada put that goal in. I know how looking at the stadium, how it seemed to feel on the telly, the relief, and everybody understood just how big a goal that was, because I agree that there's a strong possibility we don't go and beat Rangers 3-0 had we not got that late goal against Dundee United.
Yeah, 100%. And then just to again kind of reiterate, the winner of the first category turning point of the season was the 3-0 thumping against the Rangers, which brought in 42% of the vote. And we'll move on to the Ange quip of the season. Now, bear with me here because there's a kind of lot of reading to do. So we'll start with them. The first one is the first one is, I didn't get the one I was favourite for, sacked by Christmas, in reference to the Manager of the Year awards. Second one, well, maybe depends what you're looking for. Maybe you're disappointed in the way it went. I'm not really sure, in reference to the game against St Mirren being a hard watch. And finally, the third one, I'm still on the same planet, mate. I haven't come from outer space. I know Hearts very, very well, in reference to the first game of the season when he was asked, does he know much about Hearts? So, Ross, I started with Franny last time. What would you have picked in that segment?
Well, I deliberated over the first one about being... what was it, sacked at Christmas, and then the last one when the last one was he hadn't been long in the door, and that was the beginning of the stupid questions, and right away he sort of tried to nip it in the bud. Look, I've watched Scottish football. I've got a wealthy knowledge about world football, but in the end I went with the one about being sacked at Christmas, because that everything was achieved then, and that was just a lovely parting shot for Ange, just to say, "I've proved he's all wrong, didn't I? Get it right, Ringy."
I think Ange Postecoglou just handled the Scottish media from the get-go, Franny, didn't he? I mean, when he came in, that whole Hearts thing about him kind of not knowing Scottish football, of course he knew who they were. As he said, he's not coming from space. He's a well-known manager in Asia. He's managed Australia, former Hearts players who played for Australia under him. So it's just stupid to even think them or even come up with suggestions. But what would you kind of go for?
Well, I actually voted for the middle one about the one at Kenny
Oh.
McIntyre, but I feel like I want to change my mind because I think Ross actually makes a really good valid case for the first one when you actually think about it. Like I can remember the Kenny McIntyre one, just Kenny asked him, and it's just like Postecoglou kind of publicly calls him out on what team, because obviously the media are meant to be, well, obviously doing their job impartial and stuff, and not showing any sort of bias. I know that it's hard for them, and it was evident on many occasions, and I just think it was clever for Postecoglou to publicly call him out on the team that he supports and just say to him, obviously that result didn't go the way you obviously wanted it, but as much as I voted for that, I'm want to change my vote back to the first one, Stephen, after Ross's case for it.
And by the way, you're talking about, sorry, Steve, you're talking about the bias. It was no more apparent than that show on Friday night how the Scottish Cup was won by the Scottish Cup champions. Absolute shambles, man.
Oh, that was a shambles. The whole narration of that show was just filtered towards them. It was pathetic in terms of what was meant to be how we won the league, not how what they can, not what their kind of success was.
I'm sure there's about 5 games or something.
But Jed Thomas is absolutely correct here. Let's be honest, Ange has a so-called media in his back pocket, and in reference to the vote, it was actually really close. Coming in at 22% was the one, the Kenny McIntyre one. Well, it depends what you're looking for. Maybe you're disappointed in the way it went. That came last. Coming second with 35% was the Hearts one. I'm still on the same planet, I haven't come from outer space. And then with 43% of the vote, Ross, was I didn't get the one I was saving for, Sacked by Christmas. It's them type of, like, I know we've seen it a wee bit with like Lenny and stuff, but he done it in the wrong way. Postecoglou just has a way with words, doesn't he?
He does. We've touched on it loads of times throughout the season. He just picks the correct words at the correct time all the time. He's very experienced, but even the way sometimes even it's not even experience, it's just personality, just how he is. I just think he's got the media on toast and he's first class. But by the way, just out of interest, on the two sort of topics so far, what did you go for, Stephen?
Me, I mean, I went for the first one in terms of I didn't get the favourite as far. I just thought that was a cracking kind of way to put down the media, because everyone was having them sacked by Christmas, and the way the season at the start of the season was called the catastrophe, and he was like, "What's going on here?" And he proved everyone wrong. Like, the first one, to go back to it, I went with Ralston, because the emotion that I felt that celebrating that with my granda was unbelievable. Jumping about the living room like kids. It was absolutely fantastic. And coming to yourself, Randy, thanks for asking, Ross. Appreciate that. Coming to yourself, you looking at it, you think Postecoglou is probably the best kind of wordsmith Celtic's had in terms of handling the media?
Martin Hill was good. Martin Hill was good with me. Like Lennon, we've said it plenty. Lennon was good, but I think he was not that Postecoglou's not got an interest, but I think Lennon was too involved Celtic minded wise and just didn't really articulate himself the best. But like there was always a valid point 9 times out of 10 to what Lennon was trying to get across, and I think it's just a diff with Lennon and Postecoglou. It's just the difference in type of how to portray your point, where Postecoglou seems quite clever and well managed in how he does it, and whereas Lennon, it was emotion half the time, and and let's be honest, Lennon was never ever liked in the media, so there was always got to be narratives pushed out in that. But Postecoglou being the best words, possibly, but I think maybe that's more down to being maybe more my age, in the sense that I was still a wee bit younger when Martin O'Neill was about, maybe just didn't totally understand it properly, but I think Martinelli would probably run him close. Like I think Martinelli was good.
Well,
Lanky 60.
Sorry,
Go ahead,
I know, I get what Franny's saying there, but I sort of look at it in the sense where now Postecoglou's still here, he's not aware or anything like that, but you look at Jock Stein, right, and there's stuff that he's said is synonymous with the club now. It's on walls in the tunnel or whatever about the jersey, shrinking and things like that. I don't think Martin O'Neill's ever said anything that will be put up in a wall, but I think Postecoglou probably has already. It's been put in a T-shirt. I think the next move, it'll be on a wall. It's that "We Never Stop" is absolutely unbelievable, and I think for me that's why. Obviously, I'm not at an age that I can remember Jock Stein, but I think for me that's why he probably just gets the edge in that sense over any other manager that I've been able to witness.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
A great point.
I think as well, Ryan Kelly comes in. There was obviously so many to choose from, but I agree with him here. There's too many great Ange one-liners this season. The European Cup one was probably worth a mention when he was questioned by the media about Rangers' run to the final. He was like, "If you want to see a proper European trophy, it's in the back here." And I mean, that's fantastic. What are you going to say, Franny?
Ross had mentioned one when we were talking about doing this about fun enough after the 3-0 game, how he said maybe it wasn't so much a quip right enough when he was talking about 60,000 fans came here with their own problems and stuff and things like that. So, and for 90 minutes, hopefully we've made them forget about them. But that maybe falls into the category with Ross where it might end up on a wall one day, that type of statement.
That there is that's spine tingling that one, isn't it? I just thought that
see the very fact that sorry Stephen, I didn't mean to cut in there. I was just going to say, see the very fact that we're even having this conversation, I think that speaks volumes.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? Because we would never have spoke about this last season under Lennon, or I don't recall us getting, even before we done this podcast, I don't recall ever getting as sort of, I don't know what the word is, ingrained, if you like, in like what the manager's saying and trying to remember his quips throughout a season.
Like Ryan Kelly.
Did you see Lennon in the cup final thing that he was in?
Yeah. Lanky
what was
67
that?
said something.
Or
is it?
He's hilarious when he's not your manager, then.
It's embarrassing, man.
But see, to be fair, like I think you're right. Postecoglou has that type of feel where you can kind of see what he's trying to implement in the club. That whole never stop thing, I think, will live with Celtic for years to come. And you're right, it could end up on a wall. And McGranda's come in here, Big Jack, best man he's ever, 100% Granda, 100%. Strange Love the Doctor, champions. That's what we are. And just to clarify before
that, man.
Just to
see the amount of times I put that on Facebook just to annoy folks. It's wonderful.
And
sorry,
just to
Stephen,
clarify before we move on, Anne's quip of this. That's fucking 3 times, Ross. Anne's quip of the season.
Even what
the winner is. I didn't get the one I was favourite for, Sacked by Christmas. That's the one I went for. So we'll move on to assist of the season. Now, again, there's quite a large discrepancy here in the votes. So let's see where you go with this one. Jada de Kyogo versus Fenis Faros, Ralston to Kyogo versus Motherwell, or Kalmak to Kyogo in the Hibs Cup final. Franny, what would you have picked?
Kalmak one. Just think the way the way he dinked it over, then the touch and finish. I mean, every goal actually is, when you think about it, it's a really good goal. And it's mad that Alfredo or Kyle was as well. But I just think for me, just that we didn't pass over it. Like we spoke about it before, the smoke bombs hadn't even cleared the Hibs end and stuff like that, and the ball was already in the net. But for me, I think it was just Cal McGregor all season. Just so many big moments in big games when you needed it. He just seemed to pull something out the bag. Like even the game at Ibrox where he made that run. It was like, nobody's getting this ball off me. I don't know if I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going towards your goal, and nobody's taking this ball off me. So he just had many big moments, and all, as I've all said, how much he's rose into that the captaincy role and stuff, and how it just seems to have he's embraced it and just taken it on and seemed to become a better player. Yep. And the mask, I hope he does a better check and just seems to keep that on, because he seems to be reinventing himself even better in that. But for me, I just think the way he just played that pass and Kyogo's touch and finish, it was just I loved that goal. I loved that
It
goal.
was unbelievable. And just before coming to yourself, Ross, you're really excited. Like you're chopping at the bit to get speaking, big man. I love it.
Me?
Danny boy, Jadon Kyogo for me, and I'll say I went for Jadon Kyogo. I mean, the Europa League page is still using that on their like types of video footage that they're releasing. That pass was sublime from Jadon. The touch, the finish by Kyogo, everything about it was perfect. And I mean, Kevin comes in here. Jadon pass was a worldly. Alistair Jack, all these different opinions. I'm loving it. Hibs Cup final by a mile. It was unexpected. 1967, the best celebration. Joe Hart with a goal. 100%. But Ross, where would you go for assist of the season?
Well, I mean, they were all really good assists, but I went with the Jota one to Kyogo in the Europa League as well. I just think he picks it up, he turns, and it's easy. What, 60, 70 yards? Arrows it right through the heart of the defence. Kyogo doesn't even need to break stride, and then to make the pass, Kyogo makes the pass look even better with that first touch, and then the finish is just it's the most simple part of it, but it's still difficult, and he makes it look so easy. I just think it was a brilliant goal, and it was sort of a goal that I was going to say it sort of typifies the way Celtic played this season, but there's many goals that typified, and we scored all sorts of goals for all over the park, and that was just one of many really, really good goals. But that pass for me, I mean, the one that Franny's talking about was a tremendous pass, but I just think for the distance that Jota's pass has to travel, it's just pinpoint right to his feet. But Jota had, obviously there ones you can only pick so many for the list. I think Jota's assist for, I think it was Maeda's goal in the 7-0 game against St Johnstone. He crosses it in, and Maeda does the glancing header. I just think the angle he takes to put that cross in, he'd no right to get it onto Maeda's head and give him such a good opportunity. And then the cross that he plays in for Kyogo up at Dingwall and the tail end of the season, again for the angle. And again, Kyogo's finish just makes the pass look even better. Many goals. And I've just thoroughly enjoyed watching this team put everybody to the sword in the domestic front this season, and it was just wonderful.
100%. Danny Boy comes in. The pass was awesome. Kyogo's first touch was sublime. Ryan Kelly again. Ryan, I'm loving this. Honourable mention, the 30 pass combo fees and Jansen 7-0 at home. We wanted to make the poll a wee bit small because there's loads to fit in, but again, fantastic mention. I'll give the results here. So for assist of the season, coming in with just 4% of the vote, Ralston to Kyogo versus Motherwell. Coming in with 35% of the vote, Kalmack to Kyogo versus Hibs in the cup final. And then with a massive 61% of the vote, Jada to Kyogo versus Ferencváros. Unbelievable.
I don't think anyone was I voted for. I've came top yet.
I mean, 1967.
So
Jada could put a ball.
Being on trendy. I like to be on the outside.
Through an eye of a needle, like without looking. It was just a fantastic pass. And again, just to say that the winner of that category assist this season, Jada to Kyogo against Ferencváros. And we'll move on to signing the season, Francis. And this is the closest so far. There's only 2% in it between the winners here. So it was between Joe Hart, Kyogo, and Georgios Yakimakis. Franny, what would you have went for?
Joe Hart, I think when you value for money was, I mean, all value for money, even Yakimakis, if it's 2.5 million or whatever as we got. But I just think when you get a guy of Joe Hart's ability, 75 caps for England, couple of Premiership titles, some other domestic honours down south, all that Champions League experience, and to get him for £1 million, coming up with a point to prove, but we're all maybe a bit sceptical about the decision and things like that to bring him in, but all willing to give him a chance. We all, as much as it kills us, Stephen Will knew, even me and you knew we needed a keeper. But it was, I just think when you get £1 million and the saves he's made, the confidence I think he's gave the back four, and the back equally the confidence the back four's got out of him. I mean, it's been evident throughout the season, just with all the lack of goals I've conceded. I just think as a unit, that back five has been brilliant this season. Joe Hart has been a massive, massive figure for it. And like he's a captain within the squad as well, which you can't have too many sort of leaders. And he's also had the armband for a couple of games. You've seen videos come out. I'm doing wee speeches in the dressing room and stuff. So I just think he's taking everything on board. He seems to just love being here. He's not ready to go away anywhere yet, and kind of just embracing everything. Just actually seems a nice, genuine guy and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. John comes in here. I might be a bit biased, but I fucking love this podcast and our viewers. P.S. Hail everybody. Thanks for watching and taking part in this. Absolutely agree with that. The interaction has been fantastic. And Ryan Kelly comes in, Ross, and says everyone simply, which again can be argued as well. But I mean, I want to echo what Franny said. The Joe Hart thing, I can remember my reaction when he was first linked and then when he signed. Yeah, no, you can. I firmly, I didn't like him. Obviously, he was being ignorant. I just thought, looking from the inside, doing all them stupid adverts and all head and shoulders. He just looked a bit arrogant. Whenever you see him in the tunnel for England, looked like he was taking speed. He just was manic most occasions. But I tend to agree. I would edge with Joe Hart in terms of what I think he's brought. Lanky67 said Carr Starfelt, but I think a big part of that's been Joe Hart behind him. Joe Hart's been fantastic, an organiser, keeping the defence calm. And it's just great to see. I mean, Fraser Foster, yes, we couldn't get him back, fair enough, but Joe Hart for me has come in, replaced that void, and done fantastically well. What would you say?
Well, I found it very difficult to choose between the three. I think Giakoumakis and Kyogo have been absolutely outstanding. I went with Joe Hart purely because he's played pretty much every game this season, whereas Kyogo and Giakoumakis have sort of had half seasons between respectively, and I mean it's through no fault of their own, it's injury, but purely because of the amount of games he's played, I went with Joe Hart. And like you guys have touched on, I think he's been that presence. That's like Franny said, the back line. Carter Vickers has been the guy that's sort of the organiser. Starfelt's grew into it, and it's all been helped because of Joe Hart and his experience and presence, and put him up throughout the season, making big saves, commanding his box. I just think he's been absolutely outstanding, and for the money again that we paid for him, and the outlay in wages, and I mean, I'll tell you, I seen him on Instagram the other day, and for a keeper, the lad is ripped. Absolutely, his tattoo is horrendous, but he's absolutely ripped. And his wee comment, his wee, and actually, I would say he's probably maybe just got the edge in Giakoumakis. But even his wee comment about they say this place is paradise, but they obviously haven't been at Celtic CF. I can't even talk. Celtic FC.
I think a naked Joe Hart.
Aye. Can't believe he wasn't in the best looking category. What the hell? Aye, no, but purely because of the amount of games he played. That's why I just went with him in this category.
Yeah, Craig White, legend, comes in here. What a name, by the way. Kegel kept us in the hunt at the start of the season until Ange was able to get the team playing the way he wanted. 100% agree. And to reveal the results of signing of the season. Now, bear in mind, loan signing of the season is to come yet, so don't be worrying. Carter Vickers not going to get a mention, but coming in with just 12%, I think this is unfair. Is Georgios Giakoumakis after he finished the season unbelievably well.
Harsh.
Well, coming in with 43% of the vote, Kyogo. Coming in with 45% of the vote, Joe Hart. So I think we've all went with Joe Hart here, haven't we?
Yeah.
Aye.
So Joe Hart gets that, and again, just to say, signing the season as voted for by you guys is Joe Hart. And move on to loan signing of the season. Now, again, this is quite surprising in terms of how the vote breaks down. When I looked at it today, I was like, whoa. So we give the options out: Cameron Carter-Vickers, Jada, and Daizen Mieta. I'll start with yourself, Ross. What would you go for in that category?
I can't.
Or who would you go for in that? What would you
I actually can't remember her pick.
I think I went with Carter Vickers, but I mean, I've no idea why I went for Carter Vickers, because I could make a case for Jota, I could make a case for him. I think because Maeda came in later, I think he's probably why he's no up there. But if he came in at the start of the season, performed throughout the season the way he has in the second half of the season, he'd be right there neck and neck. I think Carter Vickers. That's like right, chewing gum trousers.
Well, I did pockets in the trousers, man.
Aye, can't get into them because they're stuck shut. No, I Carter Vickers. I mean, I touched on it there a minute ago, and we've touched on it throughout the season. He's been an absolute colossus. He's just been the organiser in there. He mops up everything. He's helped Starfelt along the way, and now Starfelt has formed a brilliant partnership with him. It's been formidable in the league, and I really hope we get him. And again, Jota, we've touched on his assists, his goals. He's popped up in big moments throughout the season at Pataudry, towards the end of the season. Again, like he sort of got back up to speed and was getting big goals. He scored a goal against Rangers. I know we drew 1 each in that game, but again, if we doesn't get that goal, then we don't keep them at bay, and it becomes a bit more nervy. I just think they two have been absolutely phenomenal, and I mean, we repeat ourselves all the time. We really, really want to get them.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I can't mind who I went with, because I've just made good cases for both. And I probably picked somebody. Well, I did pick somebody in the vote, but I'm not willing to do it right now. So, Paul.
I think Kevin 14 comes in here, Franny. I think it's a great point. I think it has to be Carter Vickers. We ain't winning a league with Welsh, with the greatest respect to him. Again, that's a fair enough comment, Kevin. I do believe myself. I went for Carter Vickers. It was not one of the easier ones, but does kind of what he's offered this season, the consistent level he's played at. I think Ross makes a great point. Him and Starfelt have been rock solid, best defence in the league, although we're still called shaky. We're still called suspect at domestic level when we're shutting teams out for fun. Carter Vickers for me has to be a permanent signing. We'll have to break the bank to get him and build the team around him. Jota, yes, but I want Carter Vickers more at this moment in time. I seen that picture of them all on holiday together, and you're like, come on, guys, come on, the sign.
Jude Bellingham with him.
And Jude Bellingham as well. But what would you go
Was he
for?
there, was he?
Aye, he was there too. Aye, so random. I think I would have to go with Carter Vickers as well, because just the guy's been brilliant all season and stuff, and he is just an absolute unit of guy. Like, I don't want to get involved in if it's one of the other who you signed, but I understand your argument, Stephen, with Carter Vickers, because defensive partnerships aren't easy to come by, and so I understand why he does for Carter Vickers, but I voted for Carter Vickers. I just think his impact, the influence he's had round about everybody and in defence and stuff, and just his positional really, some of Starfelt really loses an aerial battle, and I've yet to see anybody outmuscle Carter Vickers as well. It's like a big bully, man. Just
Fridge.
Fridge. Just nobody gets anything off him and stuff. But like Ross was touching on, you can argue a very valid case for Jota. He's a type of signing any team sort of like gets the bums off seats and all that with his tricks and flicks.
Jota's a Celtic player, isn't he?
Aye. And it clearly looks like he's up for a laugh. Obviously, the Christmas video, how he embraced the whole George Michael look like he's possibly got that elsewhere, but we've kind of brought it to the fore and stuff, and you see him on the park kind of just dancing and stuff like. So he seems up for a good laugh, so a good character around about the dressing room. And Maeda, for a guy that was here for 3-4 months, what an impact he's had. And obviously, out of the, thankfully that we can say one of the frees signed, and it's him. But I think you can make a valid case for Maeda simply because the impact he did have. We always kind of said if we can stay in touch and distance up until January and get signings in, and when these guys came in, you obviously aren't sure if you're maybe sort of gauging them off what Kyogo done, the Japanese boys, but Maeda just had a kind of indifferent start. He looked kind of awkward at times and stuff, but he was just finding it. For me, it just started to find his feet then. Like, he just nailed that the front three, the left of that nut, front three down. It was him. For me, he was one of the first on the team sheet, and it was always out there. The press that he done, I've never known, like, Canty aside, I've never known somebody that can press for as long and as well. So much, but and never looks knackered. But so I can understand the vote, but I had to go for Carter Vickers.
And again, as I said, it's surprising. With just 3% of the vote of the lone signing of the season dies in Maeda. With just 12% of the vote comes in Jada. And then with a huge, and I mean massive, 86% is Cameron Carter Vickers. So that is a huge gap between all three of them. I think Carter Vickers deserves it because he's unbelievable. Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say somebody made a really good point in one of the comments. I can't remember who it was, but he said when Jota is like at it, he's the best player in the team. But Carter Vickers is always great.
Kevin 14 come up with them bangers. Love
it. Nailed it.
Nailed it in the head.
Quip of the season for Kevin.
Oh yes. Danny Boy comes in. Ross is getting off late tonight with a banter. He must be released.
Yes. One was very, very nervous coming on tonight. What am I going to get accused of this evening? Pillaging.
It was all fun.
Robbery.
It was all fun. Craig White comes in here. Maeda's skills are limited, but his press and work rate are off the scale. Totally agree with that. And we'll move on again to song of the season. Now, Celtic fans will also make songs about anyone and anything, which is great. The first one coming in was Jada on the Wing. The second one was Abada on the Wing, Kyogo doing his thing. I'm not singing them. Third one was number 7, Gift from God, Yakimakis 99 Red Balloons. What would you have chose as the song of the season, Ross?
Absolute hands down, Giacomakis, 99 Red Balloons. Absolute top drawer. Superb.
Really?
And
yeah.
I was practicing that in the shower before I went into Franny's to watch the one each game. I thought he was going to get a goal that day. I thought he was going to start. None of the two of them happened. Practice was for nothing. Never even got to sing it. So disappointed.
What about yourself?
Who's that? What was that? What was that noise?
Again, Danny Boy comes in here, Franny, with a great point. Fireball for me, Juranovic again, another great mention, cracking kind of trend what was going on with Pitbull, and that was great. But what would you go for out of them?
As the PA guy, like the Celtic fans and the PA guy this season deserve a medal for some of the songs that came up when the PA guy just played it brilliant, bringing back things like roll weight and stuff like that. But I went for Giacomakis as well. When you consider the sort of like 99.
Can someone give me a tune of it now?
I'm not going to sing it.
Do you not know the 99 Red Balloons song?
I do. Always joking, Franny. Always joking. Go ahead.
I just think to actually make a song up with that was really good. The Abada one doing his thing, I hated that. I just thought that was terrible. I'll be honest. I hated it. But
did you?
I was not a fan of it. Not a fan of it. Like the Jota one I liked, but it was like Scooter in it.
I like the Juranovic one.
The Fireball was cracking.
But I just think Giacomakis one was brilliant, man. Just to 99 Red Balloons, it's such a good song, and you've actually made it a football chant. Brilliant.
Jed Thomas comes in here. Guys, please tell us you have a 10-hour show on Friday to get away from all this Jubilee pish. Yes, we've got some announcements coming up, but we'll keep that towards the end of the show. And to go back to the results of the song of the season, coming in with 10%, number 7, Gift from God. Number 7, Gift from God comes in with 10%. I picked Jad on the Wing. Last was number 7, 30%, Jad on the Wing. Coming in with 60%, Abada on the Wing, Kyogo doing his thing. So, Franny, the song you don't like is one of them.
I don't like it
either. What's it? Lanky 67. That's it. I'm unsubbing for Franny's comment. What was
it? As long as you keep watching, it's all right.
So, just again, song of the season, Abada on the Wing, Kyogo doing his thing. That was the winner. And this was a kind of topic the votes were good, but again, it was just one of them off the quiff topics here, Franny. Best looking player coming in, Matt O'Reilly, Jada, or Carr Starfelt. How did he make it on that list? But who would you have went for?
The Swedes are always got to be the blonde hair and that. Something about them, but it's Matt O'Reilly all day long, let's be honest. Guys minted, man. Guys minted. Does he need a reason you looked at him? His mirror works.
Ross, what would you go? What would you go for in that one?
Oh, it's young Matt all day long. If I met him, I would ask him if he wanted to go and prune a bonsai tree and make some chutney together.
Oh, no way. Lanky67 comes in with one here that we'll like, Friendly. Best looking player has to be Barkas. Get back on that train. You're missing out.
He's got to come to bed eyes, I get it.
Oh, come to bed eyes, right? So, 8% of the vote is Carr Starfelt, 41% is Felipe Ayala, and the winner with 51% is Matt O'Reilly.
Dealt you, Willie.
Yeah.
Who do William go for?
He was Yotta. He's a big Yotta man.
Aye. He likes the hairband.
Like Alistair, Jada, even I would get in there. There we go.
I need to find Willie for him then, Alistair.
And we're on the last topic here, fellas. So, attire of the season. Now, this is quite a fun one, Franny. So, we've got Postecoglou, the jumper, Cal McGregor, the mask, or Jada, the hairband. Go for it.
It's got to be the jumper, eh? All other answers are wrong, man. It's a jumper. It's how he's made a round neck seem cool. It's unbelievable. And then Celtic, fair play to them, just absolutely jumped on it and just put like the badge on it, well, the clover on it. But for me, it's a jumper all day long, Stephen.
Well, he did say we embraced the jumper and we embraced his family, and champions, that's what we are, Ross. So you going with the same here?
Oh, jumper, 100% every day of the week. That's a total secondary school jumper, but it just makes it look good. It just works when he's as good at his job as what he is. It's just class. I mean, I wouldn't wear it myself, but...
Remember at the start of the season, he was wearing it like navy blue trousers, and you were like,
aye.
It's all right.
Aye, black and blue don't even go, but I mean, it's fine, Ange. Do your thing, man.
100%. And I mean, the merchandise team are well on that with the Celtic merchandise coming out at the minute. And 1% of that vote, Jada the hairband. 26% was the mask for Cal McGregor. And again, 73% was Ange Postecoglou. But before I get ahead of myself, I missed out one category. One very important category. What? I clicked in my mind when I said that was final. Was save of the season. Save of the season, Franny.
Oh, aye.
So we've got Joe Hart versus Bayer Leverkusen, Joe Hart versus the Rangers, or Joe Hart versus Hibs in the Cup final. Nisbet. Kevin Nisbet was shot. What would you go for?
I think I went Leverkusen because it's the one I could only... This doesn't bode well for this topic right now because I hardly remember any of them, if I'm honest with you, Stephen. But I'm sure
the Leverkusen one.
I'm sure it was almost like he was beaten. It was like,
yeah.
Go and ask Ross because I'll be honest, mate, I've actually not got a clue about any of them.
Ross,
I can vaguely remember the Leverkusen one, but I'm saying that they've probably got to describe it and be nothing like it.
The Leverkusen one. Sorry, Steve.
Brian Moyer makes a great shout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a good save.
Big trap.
All right. He changed the course of history in a good way.
Oh, he did. What would you go for, Ross?
Well, I would say that the Leverkusen one was probably the best save because he's no right to save it. It's a goal all day long, and God knows how I think probably because you didn't want to like overthink it and overanalyze it too much because it is a bit of fun. If you were going to say what was the most important save, you would probably say the one against Rangers in the 1-1 game. And I think at the time I voted for that, but on reflection, if we're just going best save, I would probably go the one against Leverkusen because it was a ridiculous save. It was up there with maybe not quite as good, but that sort of ilk is to the balls by him, if you like. The one that Craig Gordon makes for Sunderland, David Seaman makes a similar save when the ball's sorted by him. You think it's in.
Oh, right, aye.
His Hearts was lower down than any of the two saves, but it was just a save that he had absolutely no right to make. So, on reflection, I probably should have voted for that, but I think I voted for the Rangers one.
Well, I mean, me personally, I went with the Rangers one just for like the significance of the actual save itself. It was a fantastic low down save from Scott Arfield. Joe Hart against Bayer Leverkusen. It was like an inhuman save. It was unbelievable how he went and got that ball back, and the one against the Hibby Cup final with Nisbet was another vital save. But the votes, 14% is the one against Hibs with Kevin Nisbet, 22% was Joe Hart v Bayer Leverkusen, and 64% was Joe Hart versus the Rangers, the Scott Arfield save. And Danny Boy asked, was there a save of the season vote? I missed it, but I'm coming back to it now, Danny. So the winner of the category is Joe Hart against the Rangers. And I mean, that brings us kind of to the end of the award show. I just want to recap of the winners. So turning point of the season went to the Rangers 3-0 thumping. That came in with 42%. Ange's quip of the season was I didn't get the one I was favourite for, sacked by Christmas, in reference to the Manager Year of the Awards. That came in with 43%. The assist of the season was Jadon Kyogo versus Ferencváros, which came in with 61%. Signing of the season, just 2% in it, was Joe Hart at 45%. Kyogo just behind him, 43%. Loan signing of the season, 86% was Carter Vickers, the fridge himself. Song of the season was A Bat on the Wing, Kyogo doing his thing. Best looking player, Matt O'Reilly, 51%. Save of the season, Joe Hart against Rangers at 64%. And finally, attire of the season was Postecoglou, the jumper we embraced, the man we all love, champions what we are, Ange Postecoglou, the man himself. Absolutely fantastic. And again, is there any decisions you kind of go, I would have picked differently or chose differently? I know you said, but looking back now and reflecting on the end of the show there, Ross, in terms of the awards, what would anything you would change?
Well, obviously the Hart one I changed. Nah, not really. I mean, as I said at the start of the show, there's no right or wrong answer really. It's just about preferences.
Yeah.
But I'm going to back myself and just say Matt O'Reilly's a babe.
I think to be fair, Franny, right? You look at these shows, right? We've done the end of season review. We're all relaxed. It's 2.5 hours long. It was a shambles, to be honest, but it was great fun. It was fantastic. And now we're just celebrating the players, their success. Some weird categories in there, but again, it just adds to the fun. And this time, last season, we were in a totally different mindset, and it's just great to celebrate, isn't it?
Well, that's it. Last season, we wouldn't have, I mean, not that there was much to celebrate on to do an award show, but it was the last thing on our mind to do such a thing, and even like recapping it was horrendous. But it was a great idea that Williams came up with, and fair play to John to get it between him and John and get it up and running and stuff, and to get, we weren't really what, like we all discussed, we tried to be a wee bit different. We wouldn't want us to kind of vote for it. So just thanks to everybody that got involved and actually voted, because obviously you knew Stephen before we came, but obviously me and Ross had no idea who had won what. But if I had to change anything, I would, that song. I mean,
oh aye,
what that choice to make, that was ridiculous.
Aye.
My favorite in terms of song was when Postecoglou walked onto the land down under. It was just fantastic.
Brilliant.
It was great. But see, in terms of us and the Celts podcast, we are going to be taking a break in terms of Celtic podcast for about maybe 2 weeks, right? If anything happens in between, we'll be back on to discuss it. But I think we all deserve an end of season break. We pre-season camp to get back up and running, come back bigger, better, because we never stop. You know the Islands Postecoglou talk. And it's great again to see all the interaction with everyone in Brown Warrior, Ryan Kelly, Tim Malloy, Jed Thomas, everyone who's with us every week, and the community's growing. I love seeing us talk together in the comments. And one thing we were discussing, Ross, possibly, now, again, I do want to have a wee nod towards the Scotland-Ukraine game, which is tomorrow evening. Just a kind of brief chat about it. How you feeling towards it? I know we might be doing a wee podcast about it, a Scotland one, like a Scotland preview of the game, which we might announce tomorrow, if it happens, or after the game to look back on it. But in terms of the game itself, are you confident for Scotland to proceed?
No. I'm not. I mean, don't get me wrong. They have got a good chance, but I just think the whole world is going to be against us. And listen, rightly so. Do you know what I mean? Ukraine deserve something good to happen for their country, and if that means beating Scotland, fair enough. But I'm with Strange Love, the doctor there. I really hope that we go and we turn them over and it's a comfortable night. But it's going to be a difficult game. Ukraine, they didn't have the best Euros, a bit similar to Scotland, although Scotland picked up a good result against England. But it'll be a close game. I don't think there's going to be. It'll be won by the odd goal. It'll probably, you don't, like I said, I don't want it to be a nervy night, but I expect it to be because it's how Scotland do it. I think Kieran Tierney's going to be a big loss. I worry about Andy. Don't worry about Andy Robertson as a player, but he's just played the Champions League. Well. He was Morocco on that bus, let me tell you. But I mean, fair enough. He's had a long, hard season. He's a top player. Plays at a top club. And if he comes, I mean, he always gives his all for the country. So in that respect, but I just think a tough game the other night. It's whether he can pick himself back up. But again, he's a professional, a top professional. So I hope that he can do that. But we'll just need to wait and see. But fingers, toes, everything crossed that we can get through that and just hopefully it gives us the opportunity one 90 minutes away from getting to our first World Cup since 1998. It would be phenomenal if we could do it, and I really, really pray and hope that we can get there and just. I mean, because you don't know. When we'll get such a good opportunity again. It could be a while, but I believe in this Scotland team at the same time, and I believe that if we fail at this hurdle, that another opportunity will not be too far away.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. I thought you were going to keep going there, Ross, but
I realised how abrupt that finish was. I never even put a full stop at the end of it.
You don't get me laughing to go off there. No, I'm joking. But I think Gio Patrick comes in here, Franny, with a great point. It's nice to be nice, but come on, Scotland. Again, it's something I echo, and I know you're going to echo in a wee second. But one thing I do want to say, obviously, with this whole Scotland thing, getting into the World Cup would be fantastic for the nation. Great boost, put Scottish football back in the map again. It's just great to see, and hopefully, Franny, I know I'm Irish, but Scottish blood and all that, I do hope to do it.
Fingers crossed, and like Ross said, I hope, obviously, 10 o'clock on Wednesday, we're having a conversation about how excited we're about. That would
Is it Wednesday, the match?
Wednesday,
aye.
I said Tuesday, sorry.
I hope we're having a conversation about how we're all excited about facing Wales with a one-off game. I mean, if we get to that, it's going to be hard because I think it's at Cardiff City Stadium where they've not been beaten God knows how many games and stuff, but it's the whole world's got to be against Scotland for all the reasons Ross said and stuff. So I'm glad the game's at home. I think that's obviously got to be massive for us. But like Ross touched on as well, Kieran Tierney's as a massive miss. But as I'm probably more confident in Ross, but Ross pays more attention to international football than me. But it's one of them.
It looks like you're looking up at him. It's quite funny.
It's one of the ones where it's one of the ones where I'm looking at Scotland's recent sort of run of results and have been playing really well. So I'm just hoping they can carry that on into Wednesday night and just get a positive result. And then who knows what can happen in Cardiff if we get the right result on Wednesday.
Exactly. One-off games. Anything can happen. Danny Boy comes in here. Lanky67 is away. Catch you later, bud. Hope all's well. He says, Lanky, take care, but Boise bus at 9, bro. Which, again, fantastic. Everyone hop onto that bus. And one thing I do want to say, mark the 18th of June in your calendars because we will be going away from home to the Boise bus to take part in a question of sports-style quiz. Something we're all looking forward to. Bit of head-to-head. We'll see about Celtic knowledge, have a laugh, some general knowledge in terms of football questions. But as I said, us as a Celtic podcast in terms of Celtic at the moment, probably take a 2-week break. But if any breaking news comes in, we'll be straight back on it. You guys know we'll be coming back. Spin-offs, new shows, new guests. It's all going in the Celts podcast. And one more time, have you guys enjoyed this?
Thoroughly, as always. I love being on the podcast. I love everybody interacting. I love how guys like Alistair now regard us as his podcast mates. That's what it's all about. It's first class.
Exactly.
It's the Celtic family. It's what we do.
Exactly. And Brown Warrior comes in. I'll be there sticking red diesel into the tank. Yes, you get that bus up and going there for Russell Boyce and his crewmates. But again, to everyone who's watching along, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.